Hello and welcome back to another one of my Train Sim World tutorial videos. Today we're going to look at the Class 101, the BR Class 101 DMU, found in quite a few routes on Train Sim World. West Cornwall local, Northern Trans-Pennine, which is this, Tees Valley Line, West Coast Main Line North, Blackpool branches to name but a few. There are a couple of variants to them, and they've been updated on the later ones, but essentially they're all the same. It's a really nice little train to drive, and it's a little bit more involved driving them, not much, but a little. And I think sometimes that puts people off driving them and can find them a little bit confusing or frustrating to drive. But once you get the hang of it, and it doesn't take long, you're really enjoying it. So you will enjoy driving these trains. So without further ado, let's head into the cab and set it up and get on our way. So the first thing I always do when you get in the cab is to set up the AWS on these. So the AWS is on the newer versions of this train, newer versions in Train Sim World I mean, there are two levers you need to pull. So the first one is the AWS isolation lever, which is that, and then the other one, which is the changeover, which is that one just there, the change end lever. You need to pop that in and silence it. On the older versions of this train, that one doesn't exist. As it turns out, on Northern Trans-Pennine there is no AWS, so it's a slightly pointless exercise, but I think it's worth knowing where these are if you want to drive with AWS enabled. No DSD on this. Everything will be on this one here, which is a dead man's handle really, which you just, with the pressure's held by the driver holding it down. So we'll go through. First thing, we'll put the control circuit key on. So the master key in this train is not over here as you might expect, but down there in a very handy place. So pop that on, and that should liven up the cab here. So going around the cab, so we've got a 3-car train. Each car has 2 engines, right and a left hand side, and for some reason there's no lights on this. I don't know why. There should be 3 lights each side for the engines, but there isn't. So I don't know what that issue is, but it doesn't really matter. The engines are working. If you want to start and stop your engines, you just use here, stop and start, for the left hand side and the right hand side. Don't forget to do that, otherwise you'll find your train is a bit slow. It's got marker lights here, so they're on red at the moment. We'll just put those up into white because we're going forward, and we'll put our destination light on here. As you probably know, you set the destination using this handle here. Because this is not from this 101 is not from Northern Trans-Pennine route, the destinations aren't correct on it, so I won't bother winding it round, but you know what you need to do. So going around here, there's the you've got a wiper just here. If you've got dynamic weather on, you need to know where that is. You've got the speedometer here, or I think the correct term is odometer, isn't it? But there it is, just there. 70 miles an hour it goes up to. Panel lights on, which I like, so it turns these lights on. That just changes where it takes its RPM readings from, left or right, on here. So this is your engine RPMs, which is very important to keep an eye on when you're changing gears. AWS button. This is your gear lever, your reverser to set forward, reverse, neutral, your sunflower for AWS, the brake pipe and cylinder gauge is over here, and your brake handle just here, and a handbrake over there, and obviously the emergency brake if the second man's sitting there. So that's the sort of layout of the cab. Very straightforward really, nothing too confusing about it. A very simple train to to work in, at least anyway, even not so to drive. So what I propose to do is we'll show how to get the gears changing and getting moving, and once we've done that, then we'll show how to brake once you are going. So first things first, then let's quick look at the RPM gauge here. So what you want to do, this tells you, as I said, the RPM of the engine, and this is directly to link to this. So this is the gear selector. So at the moment it's in neutral. We'll put it up into, oh, that's not me, that's that one there. We'll put that into forward first. Sorry, so we'll put the reverse into forward, and once you put that into forward, then you can control this. So we'll put that up into gear 1. So gear 1 is at the top. First gear, it's the same as a car. Gear 1 is the lowest gear. Gear 4, as this goes up to, is the highest gear. There's no clutch on this like a car if you're learning to drive, or you do drive. It really is just changing gear. So on the PlayStation, to change gear, you use the up arrow key to move up a gear. So 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4. To move down a gear, you use the down arrow key. These are the ones on the left hand side on the control pad. So we're in first gear at the moment, and what we want to do is once we start applying power, this will move up, and once we want to keep it in this area here. So once it gets into this area, we want to continue adding power. Then we need to change gear when the rev counter gets into this yellow zone here. But what we do need to do before we change gear is remove power. So might sound a bit confusing, but once you see it, it's actually dead easy. Right, so what we'll do is, like some of the diesel locomotives, the brakes and the throttle are controlled independently. It will vary on if you're on PC or PlayStation or Xbox, which controls you use. But first things first, so we'll release the brakes, and then we'll apply a bit of power, and we'll be on our way. So the brakes are off. We're going to roll forward a bit, probably. Yeah, we are. We'll add a little bit of power because we're downhill just a bit here, and you can see that moving up. What I will do is when we get to about 8 or 9 miles an hour, I'll take the power off. So we'll get about 10 miles an hour there. I'll take the power off because we're going over the point. It's still going to be a little bit fast. Just bring it down to 10. So we're 10 miles an hour over here. So we'll just let it coast at the moment. And once we get into the 40 section, then we'll get her going a bit faster. So we'll get outside while we're doing that. In she comes. Huddersfield's looking very nice today. Sun's out. We're in the 15. So what we can do is we'll add some power. So still in gear 1, bring it back up, get some movement. It's all about 10 miles an hour, 11 miles an hour now. We'll take the power off and we'll move it up to the next gear. So now we're in second, and we'll add the power back on. You don't have to do this in a hurry. It's not a rush. Just take your time, nice and slowly. And so we're getting to around about the middle again, 20 miles an hour. We'll take the power off, let it drop down, and move it up to 3. Put some more power on. And here we go. Around about the middle. It doesn't matter if you go over the middle a bit. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference. What you don't want to do is over rev it. So just make sure you reduce the power. And now we're in 4. We'll bring it on. Some of you eagle-eyed might have noticed a correlation between the gear and the speed. And as a sort of rule of thumb, it's not precise, but change from at first gear up to 10 miles an hour, then you change second gear up to 20 miles an hour and change 30 miles an hour for third gear, change up, and then basically fourth gear for everything else up to maximum line speed, which I think is 70 miles line speed. Maximum speed of these trains is 70 miles an hour, and that's it. And what you're advised to do is in these trains, once you get to the point where you want to take the power off, which we'll do now, leave it in fourth gear when you're coasting. Even when you're slowing down and brake, if you're going to slow down and stop, then leave it in fourth. So we're doing 60 miles an hour, 56 miles an hour now. There's also got the bounce effects on this one. Pacer-esque, I'd say. And you can leave it like that. So there you have it. I mean, that's how easy it is. Just remember to take the power off before you change gear, and you'll be fine. I'm going to bring it to a halt, and then we'll head back to the station, start again, and do the braking bit rather than do it just from here. I'll bring it into the station. We're going to overshoot this again. Maybe not. There we go. So we've stopped here. Right, let's head back to the station and do the braking bit again. Hello and welcome back to Huddersfield Station. So we're all set up and ready to go. And this part of the video is showing you how to operate the brakes on this unit. If you have driven any of the British Rail diesels that appear in Train Sim World, then you should have an idea how this works. Unlike a lot of the other DMUs and EMUs in Train Sim World, the brakes, these are air braked, and they need a little bit more coaxing to work, and they don't stop as quickly. And you have to apply the brakes usually slightly before you need to start slowing down, otherwise they will brake a bit. You'll be braking a bit late. The brakes are fairly straightforward once you get the hang of it. It's just the knowing how to apply them and release them that just comes with practice, really. So what we'll do is we'll get started. As I say, we're all set up. We'll make our way out of Huddersfield, and then we will get up some speed and start the braking process. So without further ado, let's release the brakes. So and add a bit of power. And I'll describe what happens as we're going out of here. I'm just going to put this in neutral. I'll release the power and we'll just roll out of here. So the brake has sort of three stages, if you like. The release stage, where your air is being released from the brake, so basically reducing the pressure on the brake pedal, if you like. The apply brakes, which is increasing pressure on the brake pedal. So if you imagine a car, when you're applying the brakes, the air's going in and pushing the brake pedal down, and you've got in between those, so you've got what's called the lap function, which is essentially you get to the point where the pressure is just about right that you want, and you just hold it there, and the lap function basically just holds the brake at that pressure, and that means the brake should be applied consistently, and you should slow down at a consistent rate. So let's get out of here. So and we'll show that in just a moment, and if you can watch the screen, you'll see as I apply brakes and release brakes, you'll see the percentages go up and down, and the rate of braking increase or decrease. So anyway, we're just coming out of there now. cross over to the 40 in a moment, and then okay, so I'll apply a bit of power because we're in the 15. We're up to about 10, so we can change into second gear, apply some power, get to about 20, and then we can change to third. Remembering to take power off, of course. So we're in third gear. I don't want to go too fast, as we'll be in the we'll be at Dayton before we know it, and I'm not brake at all. Okay, we got up to 30-ish, and into fourth gear, and we can get up to 40, and then I'll take the throttle off, and we can experiment with some braking. I'll be doing the braking at a slower pace than you would in real life, just to show you what's happening. But obviously, once you get familiar with it, you'll know exactly when to apply the brakes and by how much. Right, so we're at 40 miles an hour. So what I want to do is I want to slow us down. So we'll apply a bit of brake. So if we're at the moment there's no brakes. So we'll go down to, so we're on the lap function. At the moment, there's no brakes applied at this moment. There's no air in the cylinders. So we'll apply some brake now. So 35%, and we'll immediately go back to the lap function. So I've applied 35% brake pressure to the brakes, and then held at that. So that's the lap function's holding it at that pressure. So it should slow it down at a consistent rate. And you can see by the speedo that I'm gradually slowing down. When I get to the speed that I want to, I can just take it off, and the brakes will release and will stop slowing down. If I put it back on again, so applied that much, take it off, it will slow down, as you can see. And if I want to release the brakes slowly, I can go. You can see the release there, and it's releasing the air slowly. So we'll still brake in, but gradually the brakes will come off. And of course, we're going downhill, it's speeding up. So if I put the brakes back there, we don't need to apply much brakes at this speed because we're rolling into the station. I'll remove the brakes again, and you'll see that the speed starts to go up. So you just need to imagine that the you're pushing down on a brake pedal with your foot, and when you get to the point that you're happy with the rate of braking, just pop it into lap, which is sort of like just leaving it and holding it there. Now I'm not going to put any power on because we're not very far from the station now, so we're at 24 miles an hour. So you wouldn't be doing this speed ordinarily, although we are approaching a red signal, so you don't want to be going too fast. That's the other side of the station. But so we'll 25 miles an hour. So we'll apply. Got to the lap function, and then it's giving us 40% there, but we're slowing down. We'll release a bit of that and go back to lap because we don't want to slow down too quickly. Otherwise, we'll stop short. Let's actually release the air now. So we'll put a bit more back on. So we're back in the lap function. Release the air at that rate. So and we'll apply. We'll aim for the edge. I don't know how far along this platform. I release the brakes because I don't need to. And there we go. We made it. It's just a matter of, if you have a look, just a matter of practice with this. But look at that. We're nicely positioned in the platform. Mainly it's not to apply too much brake unless you're in an emergency. Just apply it gently, hold it at lap, and if you're not slowing down quick enough, apply a bit more, put it back to lap. That's all you need to do. And hopefully that will give you an idea about braking with the Class 101. it is a really nice little train to drive. So give it a go, and just practice on it, even if it's in sandbox mode like I have here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or suggestions, then please leave them in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye now.